Hi there, Martin Stone here from Switch On Health, and I'm very happy to be joined today by our latest graduate in Western Herbal Medicine, which is Kathleen Farmer from somewhere on the Sunshine Coast.
From
Yandina?
Yandina on the Sunshine
Yandina?
Coast.
Yeah, that's the one. Excellent.
Yeah.
So, our latest graduate in herbal medicine. Yay!
I know.
Kathleen,
So good.
well done. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I'm pumped. A little bit in disbelief at the moment that I have no more study to do, but
We
um,
can remedy that.
it's true. I'm sure there's way more to learn, right?
There always is. Yeah, there
Yeah.
always is.
Yeah.
So look, my first question for you,
Hmm.
what did you do to celebrate over the weekend?
Well, it's raining here a lot, so there was no beach, there was no going for walks, and they're the things that I usually like to do. But my fiance and I did go to dinner and have a little toast and a little celebration that way. So that was really nice. I'm also going to go see my parents in a couple of days, and I know that they'll be really stoked as well. So that would be a nice celebration too.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
Now you're a primary school teacher, is that
I
right?
am a primary school teacher by trade. Yep.
Mm. All right, fantastic. How come you decided to study herbal medicine with us? Like, what took you to this point?
Yeah, such a great question. I have always been drawn to health and taking care of myself. And I knew that I needed a foundational level of health to be able to become a really good teacher. So when I finished university, I was in my early 20s, so 21. I actually wasn't ready to step into teaching full time yet because I had a little bit, just a feeling, an inkling that it was going to be very stressful and the hours were going to be a lot. So I sort of took a couple of steps back and decided that I knew I needed to get my health on track. And I also needed to go and experience the world. So I didn't do teaching straight away. I did a lot of my own research into how to heal naturally, looked at lots of different traditional medicine systems like Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine. And then I sort of got the resources together and decided to go and see a naturopath. And that naturopath was also qualified in Western Herbal Medicine. And as soon as I had a couple of sessions and I started to see the difference and the change in my body, I was just, yeah, sold on herbs and what they can do for health. And I knew from that moment that I was definitely going to delve into natural medicine. However, I still stuck with the path of teaching for a couple of more years. That was definitely a calling for me as well, especially from my younger years. And yeah, I sort of got a feel for what teaching was all about, and I was right on the money with, stress being up here when you're teaching and lots of hours that you need to put in. And I'm really grateful that I did take those couple of years just to step back because I did build some foundations to be able to go in and do that job to the best of my ability. And yeah, I sort of could just see the light at the end of the tunnel with that. I knew that I was going to delve into a different path. I knew it was going to be natural medicine. And so then that's when like the research began to look for somewhere that I could study online, that I didn't have to go to university, but I could still come out with a qualification that was sound, of a standard. I, knew it was important to be able to access herbs that were a practitioner level or a practitioner grade because I knew they were the herbs that really helped me. And that's when I come across Switch on Health. And I believe at the time you're the only place, I believe in Australia that was offering that online in the way that you offer it. Yeah, so that's how I went from teaching to the natural medicine path.
Now, one of the joyous things that I get to do when somebody graduates is, I've got to go through and make sure your academic transcript is all correct and that sort of thing. And when I do that process, I become intimately familiar with your study journey. And, something really stood out to me when I was doing yours is that you didn't have any RPL with us. So you did the entire course, you did all the subjects, all the assessments, from start all the way through to the end. And you did it pretty well bang on 3 years. I think it was 3 years, 3 weeks, and a couple of days, something like that. So, you really managed to stay like bang on target. And, you know, one of the things that we offer, obviously, is the flexibility. So,
Mm.
you're obviously still working, maybe not full time, but working a certain number of days a week.
Yeah, there were periods where I was sort of doing my own business at the time as well. I was doing a little
Yeah,
bit of private teaching and homeschooling
yeah,
with families on the Sunshine Coast. So I had a little bit
yeah.
more freedom when I first started. It was only a couple of
Okay.
days a week.
Yeah.
But the last year, so last year I did go into full-time teaching, and that was just
All right.
crazy. So I think with my second year of study, I did go
Yeah.
over the time a little bit by a couple of months, but I ended up
And then you caught up.
finishing my third year faster than anticipated.
Yeah.
So it kind of all balanced out anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, there
Yeah.
was some times where I was only working
Mm,
part-time, sometimes where I was working full-time. And
mm.
I guess the great thing with me for teaching was that I had, 12 weeks of holidays a year. So
Okay.
I really learned
Get
to
down.
do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I guess, the question for me is, obviously we've got a lot of people starting with us and
Mm,
the flexibility is great. Um,
mm,
Sometimes it takes them longer than they actually anticipated it was going to take them. It can be a long
sure.
journey. It's a
Yeah.
big qualification we're offering. There's a lot to learn. I guess the question is, you did it bang on 3 years with other commitments. What's your secret? How did you do it?
I just really wanted to finish it, It was just something I really wanted to do. And I'd already been to university, so I'd kind of worked under pressure before with time constraints and, all the things that come with that. But for me, yeah, it was just the goal of being able to be a qualified herbalist. There were lots of weekends around work that were filled with studying, and sometimes nights. I tried not to study into the night. It kind of goes against my ethos, but sometimes that happened. But yeah, and then of course I had like school holidays, which I spent a lot. Like I didn't go study, I didn't go traveling, I didn't go, do the fun things that you're meant to do. Well, I thought it was fun. I, got to stay indoors and study and learn
Yeah.
and I think the other thing that really pushed me along was that I started an Instagram page just out of creativity and the hope that someday it would be the foundation of my business. And I found it really great to actually post something that I was learning about every couple of weeks or when I got around to it. And it was just a really good way to absorb the information differently and put it out there and be a little bit creative with it as well.
It is a great tip. I
Yeah.
think, a lot of people kind of leave their marketing until after they graduate. But if you can actually start telling people what you're doing, what you're learning, and how great herbal medicine is, get them excited about seeing you as a practitioner. And, then they start saying to you, well, come on, when are you going to graduate? When can I
Yeah,
come and see you? Great
exactly.
way to start. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if this question is going to really make sense or not, but because you've got a background in education, I know
Mm.
it's primary school level and we're doing adult education, which is totally different. Just curious to know, with your background in education, how did you find studying with Switch On Health? You know, did we absolutely nail it with our delivery, or were there things where you thought, gee, these guys, they might be good at herbs, but they need to lift their game in education? How is the learning experience for you?
Mm. Yeah, look, I think you absolutely nailed it. I'm a very visual person, so I loved that your content was filled with videos. I'm someone that sort of loves to watch a video and take notes. I also really enjoyed a lot of the textbooks that you guys recommended, and they're currently on my shelf in clinic. Because I know that I'm going to continue to use them throughout my practice and experience as a herbalist. And I just loved that everything was online. And you had your modules and your coursework. So I sort of worked it that, I would go through my module, I would learn the content, and then I would always look at the assessment first, just a little hot tip. Always look at the assessment first so that you know what you're being assessed against. And then when you're reading the information, that came up. I need to take note on, that information. So I guess, experience with education, having been to university, you learn, you take things from those experiences and put them into, this at Switch On Health. But I also just think it was just laid out beautifully. I could leave my laptop open and come back to it the next day, or even if it was a week later, it was all still there, ready to go, which I really, yeah, just makes it easy.
Awesome. Hot tip from a teacher. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, look, it's good to hear your way of doing it. Obviously worked for you.
Mm.
It's interesting for me because I normally say to people, just do a general read through first and then look at the assessment and then go back and
Mm.
do it in more detail, and then you'll kind of know, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to be asked on in the assessment.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. It's just
Mm.
it is interesting for us to hear. Okay, you actually recommend having a look at the assessment first, because
Mm.
then you'll start to kind of notice things as you're going through the content.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially in your first year, I think when you're getting used to what the assessments may be like and what you're being asked and how much detail you need to give. That's just a teacher thing, like we create GTMJs and criteria. So I often go straight to that when I get an assessment or the standards because I know that's what I'm going to be assessed against. So yeah, just I think that's a really good tip if you're first starting out and you're unsure what the expectation is.
what did you call it? GTM.
GTMJ, Guide to Making Judgment.
Tell me more.
It's what you get marked against. It's like a rubric.
Okay, right.
Um, so you don't have a rubric. It's like there was no GTMJs at Switch On Health, but sometimes there was like a marking guide on some of your
Yep,
assessments, and
yep,
that's where you know what
got
you
it.
need to include or what you're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, we do give people that assessments guide at the beginning, and
Yes.
we kind of spell it out. If it says, list and describe, we want you to
Yes.
list, we want you to describe.
Yes.
If it says that and it's worth 8 marks, we get 1 mark for list and 1 mark for describe, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and you start to work out what the question is actually asking with using those adjectives. Are you describing? Are you listing? And then you
Yeah,
work out the points. How many points can you earn? And if the
yeah,
answer has
exactly.
six different answers in it, then that might be 6 points. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you got
Mhm.
it. Yeah. Well, you're kind of on the inside lane as a teacher,
Yeah, a
I
little bit.
guess. Yeah, awesome. So, what's next?
Yeah, great question. I am lucky enough, my mother-in-law is a Bowen therapist and works from a clinic out of Yandina. So she's been lovely enough to offer me a clinic room in that space. So I'm, yeah, starting off hot pretty much. I'm seeing people face to face straight away. I've just launched my website where people can make bookings online. I've just signed up for a Facebook account and doing the Instagram thing as well. So lots of marketing happening in the background at the moment. But yeah, ready to start doing this full time, I hope. I am still teaching at the moment as well,
Yeah,
just doing some casual relief teaching, a couple days a week just to keep everything afloat while I make the transition over to herbalism.
right. Nice. Good
Yeah.
plan. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's really I feel like it's really becoming real for you now.
It is absolutely, yeah.
Dream come true.
Yeah, yeah, you could definitely say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this morning I was, I didn't have to go to work and I was sort of sitting there like, what am I it feels so strange not having to study. Like
Oh,
just having always something to do with studying and it's, I don't want to say it's never ending, but it is always there. And just I had this space and I just thought, okay, what's next? But then I just go, oh, well, you got to do business stuff. You got to advertise
yeah,
and do,
yeah,
do your
mm,
website and keep sharing your
yeah,
information. So lots of other
mm,
ways to stay busy.
yeah. Any particular area you think you're going to specialize in?
I would love to bring in my education background with children and
Yep.
specialize in children and especially learning needs and different
Yeah.
abilities and
Beautiful.
difficulties. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I would like to go
Love
down
it.
that lane.
Love it.
And yeah, of course, being a woman, I think women's health
Mm,
would just come naturally to me as well.
yeah.
So that's definitely an interest.
Yeah. Women's health in children. I think,
Yeah,
there's a big market there. There's a lot of people who need help. Yeah. So
absolutely.
that's a good area to get into. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of children too, or their families are looking for alternatives to what's on offer. And that's where natural medicine can be really helpful for those families. If they don't want to, say, medicate or they want to get a whole picture of the child rather than just medicating or band-aiding with something to get them
Yeah.
to focus in the
Yeah.
classroom or.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
There's a lot to do there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, Kathleen, look, we've loved having you studying with us. Uh, we love that you're now a Switch On Health graduate or practitioner and you're going to be out there helping other people. So, look, once again, congratulations, obviously. Thank you for choosing Switch On Health and look, do stay in touch with us. Uh, the next thing for us is, we're so looking forward to seeing you blossom as a practitioner and helping other people. So, yeah, thank you and well done.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you everyone at Switch On Health. It's been such a great learning journey. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Kathleen.
Thank
See you.
you.